Hi. So thank you everybody so much for coming to this week's session of our spring speaker series. A lot of you, I've recognized some from coming to our exercise classes. I hide in the back offices. I work with the caregivers. I'm Robin. I'm a caregiver specialist. So if you are ever a caregiver of a spouse, loved one, neighbor, I'm your girl. I want to thank Home Instead for sponsoring the event today. A few housekeeping tips. Most of you know bathrooms are out in the hallway, outside of the office, down that little hallway. Turn phones on vibrate or silence. I will be the awkward one that would have to go off. And so I would like to introduce home builder Mike Rathgeb. Yes, he was from SIUE. When not in the classroom, his college years, he spent working for a local resident construction and development company. In 2014, Mike earned the National Association of Home Builders for the Certified Aging in Place certification. As a certified universal acceptable home design specialist, he ensures customers can live in their home comfortably, safely, and independently for as long as they want, regardless of age or ability. Mike sits on the board of directors for the Home Builders and Remodelers of Metro East Association. My voice is shaking, guys. I am so sorry. I'm going to have him come on up, and before I do that, I just also want to point out Adaptive Equipment Corner in the corner.
It's in the corner.
They are also a wonderful tool and resource for those of us hoping to age in place at home. They have wonderful devices, so before you leave, please check them out and talk to them. So I will let you take the area.
Thanks. Well, good morning. My name is Mike Rathgeb, and I'm the founder and owner of Spencer Homes, and appreciate the invitation. Thanks, Joy, for inviting us. This, I think, maybe the second time. First met, as we both were reflecting, was at SIUE. And it must have been 2011 or 12, maybe? Something like that. Yeah, so a long time ago. Yeah. So appreciate and enjoy staying in touch. So started the company, it was our 20th anniversary. So I started after a 15-year corporate career, started in 2005. With the exception of maybe a couple people in the room that joined me, which I had Shannon from our team, Sophia, and Brett. A couple of those folks. The rest of us know what happened in 2007. So 2005, I thought I had a really bright idea to start this home building company, and by 07 and 08, my wife was probably questioning, who she had married and my sanity, but we survived that. And as I was trying to figure out what we were going to look like when and if we were able to come out of that, really housing downturn. That's really what it was largely about. A little bit of automotive as well, but certainly housing. What are we going to look like as a company? What do we want to do? What customers do we want to serve? I did a lot of research and reading and attended a meeting at SIU with my parents, as a matter of fact, and it was really I came to the conclusion that if we're going to come out of this, we're gonna start designing and building homes that take aging in place, is what the industry refers to it. Take that into consideration as we design and build. And so in 2013, we opened up our first neighborhood, HOA managed neighborhood, and really focused on the boomer generation. And that's when we also started to not only create this environment of simplified living, no lawn care, no snow removal, things like that for our customers, but also the idea that our clients could live in their home comfortably for years to come. Talk a lot about new construction today, but also take into consideration remodeling, because in 2022, although we had done remodeling over the years, we really weren't focused on it. It was more friends and family. In 2022, we acquired Fulford Home Remodeling. And if you're from St. Clair County and you've been around for a minute, Fulford, Mark Fulford and his dad started their construction company about a half a century ago. So we acquired that business and really created a concentrated focus on remodeling as well. Certified Agent and Placement Specialist, received that designation from the National Association of Home Builders. It required coursework and studying and passing some tests and things like that. And then to keep up on that, refreshers for that continuum of education related to that. But really where the experience came from, and I'm sure many of you can attest to this, experience comes from doing, and we're approaching 80 homes that we have designed and built, not just in our HOA managed neighborhoods, but we've built for folks on 2 acres in the outside of town, but they wanted to incorporate some of the things we're going to talk about today. My wife and I, 20 years in business, we're finally building a home for ourselves, and we're incorporating many of the features you're going to see here. I'll be 50. I'm 56 now. I'll be 57 this year, so she'll be 54. She has rheumatoid arthritis. Fortunately, she is doing well despite that. But we all know at some point, life does catch up with us, regardless of how much we might try to take care of ourselves, and we might need some accommodation. So that's what we've tried to achieve over the last several years. So just a little bit more about kind of our villa approach and HOA managed, and we're going to go into some real detail on zero entry. What does that mean? Seamless design, wider hallways and walkways, why is that beneficial, and then how we customize homes for people. Because what I really hope we drive home today is the way that we design and build, the way our homes look, and this is new construction and remodeling, there's never this, is it going to look institutional? Is it going to look like we built a home for a assisted living? Never. I think if you saw some of our, when we're going to show you some photos, it just doesn't have that appearance at all. And sometimes I'll show you one photo and share a little anecdote because I think it's always kind of funny. This is one of our floor plans that we build on a regular basis, the Turnberry plan. And again, we build this a lot in our neighborhoods, but we'll also build this home for people outside of our traditional HOA managed neighborhoods. We've done it, again, on people's acreage, or we've done it in neighborhoods that are, your typical neighborhood where the folks are still responsible for their lawn care and such, whether they have a service or do it themselves. Things to notice on this plan, and let me get this out of my way. There we go. So you'll see things, it's pretty typical, pretty common to have a 3-foot wide front door, pretty common. Maybe not as common to have one from the garage, but still probably relatively common. We have a notation down here, zero entry, which we're going to show you an example of what that is. Because anything that we show you is going to be a home that has a foundation underneath it. It has a basement still. You put a home on slab, it's pretty easy to have a zero transition from your garage into your house. But we worked with an engineer and an architect to come up with our typical wall sections to build homes that would still have basements and then have this zero transition from the garage into the home. Then as you go through the home, pretty common to have a 3-foot wide door in the laundry, but things you don't typically see into secondary bedrooms, 2'8", so it's a 32-inch wide opening. That would be the minimum standard that we would want. Our hallways, all 3 foot or more up here. Going into the primary bedroom, 3 foot. Going into the bathroom, 3 foot. And we'll show you examples of what we mean by a zero transition shower. Again, minimum 3 feet. And then going into the closet, a minimum of 3 feet. So these are really easy things to do during the build process. they can be a little bit more challenging and more expensive when it comes to a renovation or a remodeling project, right? Or reconverting a space to something that's like this that we do for new construction. Another plan that would have some of the same features and items that we just discussed. So the look of our homes, I don't think, I know I'm very proud of what we do and the appearance of our homes. These are all 3 homes that are in HOA managed neighborhoods. And again, doesn't have to be, but that has worked out very well for us from a developer and build standpoint. Although these pictures all look like this, we do use other colors than darks. We're proud of what we do and the way our homes look and the quality of our homes. We're in business, but the really feel good about this is when we build homes, design and build homes in this way, we have witnessed it now. We've done this, I think I said earlier, roughly 80 times for clients, and we have witnessed knee surgeries or knee replacements, hip replacement, other types of either illness or in how it's made a difference in people's lives. And so there's a feel-good aspect of it as well. A little bit on our maintenance-free living and what that means. Okay. I'll just pause for a minute. Any questions or any conversation anybody wants to have before I keep going?
Where are your neighborhoods?
O'Fallon by Far Oaks Golf Course, so at Milburn School Road and Old Collinsville, where we still have available home sites. The neighborhoods that we first started in Edwardsville, we had 18 in Brookshire Hamlet, it's full. We had 42 in Cloverdale, it's full. We're launching a new neighborhood in Glen Carbon called Meridian Grove, and we're going to have detached single-family villas, like you saw in the illustration, but we're also going to incorporate attached villas. I'm sure you've all experienced and witnessed price increases across all aspects of your life. Housing is not excluded. It's hard to believe pre-COVID to today where pricing has accelerated to for homes. And so the attached villa gives us an opportunity to try to create some economies of scale and to bring some pricing down. We're going to offer it in a slab or a foundation format, again, to try to achieve some cost. What we've experienced is people that in this market, oftentimes they have cash, equity, or both, and so they're very focused on price. Interest rate doesn't concern them as much. So we're trying to put this attached villa product out to bring our costs down and accommodate folks in that regard. So this is an example of a garage entry. So you'll notice there's no step. And again, in most homes that have a foundation, there's at least one, if not two steps. There is a foundation wall that runs all the way across and is taller than the rest of the foundation. That's how we accomplish this. I have witnessed other builders attempt to duplicate what we're doing, and they never do it the right way. They pour a traditional size wall, they put wood there, and then they try to flash around all of that wood, and they're piling rock and concrete up against it. And between an engineer and an architect, it was that was deemed a really bad idea. And so we don't do it that way. It costs a little bit of money, but in the scheme of things, it's relatively cost effective to do this. And now we have a seamless transition in and out of the home. example of our showers. We zero in on, or we focus in on it. In this photo, give you a little bit larger illustration here. And again, this is just for seamless transition in and out of the shower. I don't know if we have a shot of it. We will have a bench in here as well. We'll incorporate some handheld shower fixtures as well. And again, we've witnessed how this has been so beneficial for our clients. Wider hallways and just open spaces. So most of our homes are designed this way. The staircase isn't fully illustrated, but virtually all of our staircases are 4 foot wide. Standard is typically 42, but virtually all of ours are 4 foot wide, 48 inches wide. But just open space for, again, mobility purposes. Kitchen areas. We want minimum 4 feet between countertop to countertop. Even on the opposite side, it's a minimum of 4 feet on the opposite side. Oftentimes we'll incorporate a microwave drawer in our homes as well, versus putting a microwave up above the range. We'll have our microwave, I think in this home, you might be able to kind of see, if that's not a handle to a cabinet, it's where the microwave is positioned. And push the button, microwave opens up. Whether you're seated or you're standing, you set things in and operate the microwave like you would normally. Again, just trying to show some openness. You'll probably, if you really looked closely, you'll see things as simple as how we're going to open a door. In time, if grass starts to become an issue, levers make things a lot easier for people. So we never put in a knob. We always put in a handle, a lever handle in our homes. So this home, again, I told you, yes, it's a business, and yes, we're in business to make money, but there's also some feel-good opportunities. So this home we built for a veteran. If anybody's on Instagram, if I gave you his name, like my daughter's, you could look it up and you see he has like 30,000 followers, because not only did this veteran, serve our country and losing both of his legs with an IED, he went on to act, and then he was plastered all over department stores in his underwear for jockey. And did a commercial with his family. But we had the honor of building a home for Chris and Samantha and their kids. One of the most mobility friendly and wheelchair adapting homes that we've built. You'll notice the way the vanities are structured. Chris, a very proud individual, very tough individual. And when he's in his home, he's in his wheelchair. When he leaves the home, he puts his prosthetic legs on. But when he's in his home, he wants to be more comfortable. So we created a very comfortable way for him to approach the vanities in their bathroom, and then an in-home elevator, which we've done 4 or 5 times now with in-home elevators. Haven't priced one in a while. They weren't that bad for a minute there, but I'm sure like everything else they've gone up. But they have a single-story home. They have 0 entry everywhere. But this enables Chris to have an office down in their basement, workout area in their basement, and for him to be able to go up and down easily to use those areas. And this is our tagline. We have said this for a couple decades now, and it applies to every home that we build. We really want people to love where they live. We've also then included that into our renovation and remodeling business as well. Sometimes people don't want to leave the home that they're in, but they need it to be more accommodating, and we're happy to help with that. And we got our start really though on the new construction side on how we would design and build, and this is what we strive for, people to love where they live. So with that, I can take questions, and we can have some conversation.
I have an elevator question. So do you have to change the foundation where the elevator is going to put that in?
Yes.
So it's significant. Have you ever put in?
Well, I should say it's not the foundation as much as it is the floor.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not like putting in a commercial elevator.
No, not even close. No. We have to recess the basement floor. Then we put a pump in that area, just because now we're below below the floor elevation. So so that is for that elevator to be able to be received at the basement level, and to be a zero transition at the basement finished floor. Really, the rest of it, there's some wiring. It's mostly framing for the cavity. That's the biggest thing. We've designed and built homes where we have created the cavity, but didn't put the elevator in. For money reasons, or hey, we don't need it right now, kind of those reasons. They didn't put the elevator in, but we actually created the cavity for it from a framing standpoint. And then made sure that power was going to be accessible for it.
You do home modifications, what about like a ramp? If their home has several steps to go into, but he's in total wheelchair, he cannot get out.
Right.
Unless somebody comes and lifts him out right now.
Right.
Would you do a modification for a ramp?
We haven't traditionally done those. We've completely modified entries, but we've not built ramps because they're more of a temporary structure. And there are ramps that are available for purchase that are more for temporary purposes. But no, we haven't done a whole lot in the way of ramps. A good carpenter could probably take something like that on. But if I know it's easier said than done. We have our own trouble sometimes finding good quality people to work for us, but yeah.
So I have a question. You were mentioning an attached villa. So is that like a mother-in-law's home, where you come out and build? No.
The more common term, but it's not as good for marketing, is duplex.
Okay.
So it's a duplex. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, my mother-in-law was this close. Darn it. No.
No, but for a friend of ours, before we had acquired Fulford, a friend of ours approached us, live in a traditional two-story home, all beds up, and so they were there, and their kids, their boys, all of their bedrooms were upstairs, but then we added onto the back of the home for his mother to move in there. So and created a really awesome mother-in-law suite for Nancy several years ago.
So that is something you could do.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Yay! No. No, I kid. She's a lovely woman.
I have a great mother-in-law too. Yeah. Yes.
Can you do a modification where you take out a bathtub and put in a walk-in shower?
We do that on a pretty regular basis. Yeah. Any given year, we might do 60 to 80 remodeling. Complete 60 to 80 remodeling projects. Mm-hmm.
What region do you serve? Like, you just stick to Madison and St. Clair counties, or do you venture down to Monroe or anywhere else?
We have, but logistics sometimes prohibits. It just depends on the project and where we're at from a what our project backlog is, whether we can incorporate things. depending on where they're at. But our focus has primarily been in Madison and St. Clair.
Oh, go ahead.
Sure.
I'm in a situation where my two sisters and I are eventually all going to be living together. So we would be looking for a place that had 3 adult-sized bedrooms,
Sure.
and each one with its own bathroom.
Yeah.
Can you modify your floor plans for something like
Sure.
that?
Right. The only thing that what drives that is where. Where are we putting it at? What's the width? What's the depth of where we're placing that that home? And that will dictate how that home can be laid out. But sure, we have homes that have 2 primary suites already, the way they're set up. So to add a third really wouldn't be terribly challenging, as long as the footprint that we were building on would accommodate.
And you could do that with one of your villa plans?
That's what we've adapted before with our 2 primary suite. So, sure, yeah. As long as the property can accommodate it, we can design and build it. Sir?
Does your 0 entry from the garage, does that have an elevation to it, or is it?
Good question. Yes. So we're not required in residential to meet ADA standards, but that's what we strive for. Is that transition is minimal. So we'll sometimes stretch that transition out a bit when we pour the concrete floor to try to achieve something close to that. It works out best for us when the garage entry is at the back wall of the garage, adjacent to the interior. Gives us more room to do that. The ones, if we ever have a side entry, where you're walking into the home from a side wall, it can be. I mean, that's how my home is now. It's done. You're gonna have a little bit of a hump there when you drive over that, unless your garage is large enough where it's outside of that drive bay. But
sure.
Yeah, so there is a slight transition.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think and then the whole garage floor, like a typical garage floor, all slopes to the outside, right? We want any water, any residue from a vehicle, we want all of that moving away from the interior of the home. So it still is designed that way. It's not flat, and it's not sloping into the house whatsoever. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you said your community on O'Fallon was where?
At Milburn and Old Collinsville. It's called the Enclave at Augusta Greens. Mm-hmm. It's just south of Far Oaks Golf Club in the Far Oaks neighborhood.
And to add to Mike, to 829 Bushwood Way from 3:30 to 6:30 today, there's an open house. So realtors will be out there at both those homes. So if anybody wanted to walk out there and actually physically walk these homes and see what we mean by 0 entry on the showers and 0 entry on the garage, you're more than welcome to head out that way and take a look at these 2 homes.
What was that address?
829 Bushwood. Yep.
All right.
Yep, 3:30 to 6:30.
Bonus points. We don't have a prize, but bonus points if you know the reference to Bushwood. So it's at Augusta Greens. It's a golf theme. Does anybody know the reference to Bushwood? I like this one because I think it's fun. It was the fictional country club in the movie Caddyshack. Yeah.
Hope there's no gophers.
Right, yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I haven't seen any, but we can always. Carl, wasn't his name Carl, the groundskeeper? We can always enlist Carl. Yeah. Sometimes even when you're involved in our business, you get to have a little fun too. So.
When you talked about HOA, do you set that up or how, and then oversee it? Then you're the one who gets the landscaping and everything taken care of?
We establish the homeowners association for the neighborhood. We hire a third party to manage it. And we're seeing this more and more in traditional neighborhoods. But in an HOA, what we refer to as an HOA managed neighborhood where there's services, it's really helpful. Most of the homeowners, they don't want to deal with it. Number one, and you start getting into annual bid cycles and things like that, and then the oversight of your contractors that are, your contracted maintenance providers for landscape and lawn care and such, snow removal. That way, the homeowners don't have to deal with it. They have a point person that is responsible for it. So we found that, and I think they charge $15 to $20 a month, per house for that service. So it's pretty cost effective to not have to mess with it, to not have to be the one either collecting the bids or calling to talk about the service levels. And the other thing is that it keeps you out of having to approach your neighbor, because they consistently leave their trash can out front of the garage, which isn't allowed. There are some restrictions, and it doesn't seem like a big issue, but that's the last. I mean, if it's your neighbor, and you just don't want to. You don't have to deal with those things, and none of the other neighbors do. As well, you have a third party that can handle that. So.
What about the outside maintenance of the residence? Your roofing, if it needs painting?
That's still you own your home and are responsible for your home, and you own the property that it sits on. It's all the common area that surrounds.
Okay,
and
that's all it takes.
And your front landscaping, and then your drive and the walk up to your home for ice and snow removal is taken care of. Okay. But in terms of the roof and things like that, that all falls under homeowner insurance and in general maintenance. Yeah.
How about the attached villas where you've got the two units?
Yeah.
So one wants a new roof and the other one doesn't. What do you do?
Yeah. So there's in fact, we just finished drafting the covenants and restrictions for that. So there's a party wall. So that party wall divides, and you're responsible for each side. And then if there is a dispute, there's a method in which to go through the dispute process. It's through mediation. So versus suing your neighbor and things like that.
But the HOA company takes care of that?
Yes. Okay. Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Any interesting bills you had to do to meet someone's ability? That's not the normal. Someone's in a wheelchair, so
sure.
we raise the cabinet so they can get under it.
Right. So we showed you what we did for Chris. We had a couple that was referred to us from some of our previous clients in Glen Carbon. We built a home for them in O'Fallon, and unfortunately, the wife had suffered a stroke. They were in a home where steps into the home, the bathroom was on the side. This was in fact, I was sharing the story earlier, and I promised not to. I said it gets me emotional sometimes because you could see the husband was tired, the wife was frustrated, and there was a sense of urgency to get things done. And so that home incorporated all of the things that you saw that we showed you, but plus one additional item. So one of the things that she really wanted to be able to do was to be able to experience the outdoors. And if you look at most residential properties, it's either a hinge door or a slider, right? Well, she had lost the use of the left side of her body, and they knew that there was probably going to be diminished returns on the right side over time as well, to be able to operate different. So that was a home that we actually put a sliding door in by the push of a button. That outdoor ingress door, she can go in and out with the push of a button. So that one we took to another level. That was interesting, but we called in the right resources to get it So it was I think it was an Anderson product door, which we don't really use Anderson products on a regular basis, but that was who had it available, and then we hired a very specific installer that was familiar with that door. More commercial-like, but we were able to put it in a residential application. Good question.
Sorry, I know Joy keeps like inching up.
Well, there's these pregnant pauses, and then you keep.
You know me. I think of things at like the worst time. Let's say my parents need a new home. They have property that they just want to build on.
Right.
Just like a general time frame, because I know things. You don't just have a place you go pick up wood and
Right.
build a house, but like from the signing of the contract to the home being finished, what's like a rough estimate?
Yeah, I'll go back even a little bit more on that. We like to take roughly, I shouldn't say we think it's important to take about a 60 to 90 day period of time with our clients. So understand, wants and needs, budget, things of that nature. So before we even start to design any home, we want to understand a lot of those things, like a home with 3 primary suites, things like that. Understand the wants and the needs, and then have a general budget discussion around those wants and needs and where you're building, because where you build, some things are different, right? Neighborhoods have different requirements. If you're on a piece of ground and there are no requirements, you can do whatever you want on the exterior of the home. So understand those drivers, and then understand what the budget objectives are from our customer to make sure we have a good fit, right? So because the last thing we want to do is start working with someone and their wants and their needs exceed what they're willing to invest. So I'm going to start off by understanding wants, needs, where, start the design, and have a good budget overview discussion. We like to drill down into some things, even specifics, and to the extent that we can, before we even would think to start, we would want customers to spend time with one of our designers, one of our selection specialists. We'd like them to go visit our appliance provider. We'd like to be able to fill, the line items for budgets. There's 30 to 40 items. We'd like to be able to fill as many of those in with some certainties as we possibly can. And that takes about 60 to 90 days to accomplish all of that, so that when we do execute an agreement, we all know where we're jumping from, and we should land pretty close to where we jump from. And then the build process, depending on the size and scope of the project, is going to be anywhere from 6 to 8 months.
Now do you want to?
I won't come up with it. I promise.
Thank you for inviting us, and thank you for listening. Appreciate it.
Well, it's really interesting. Abby's going to put up a video, but I wanted to thank you so much.
Sure.
Age Smart has, as your area agency on aging, has always been really focused on building livable communities, and we've had. I was thinking about this. We've had 3 economic development directors on our board: Paul Ellis, Ted Shekel currently.
Oh, sure.
Yep, and Frank Miles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we've always had, somebody that's had that focus, because number one, we want to be advocates and say, let's make sure that our communities are livable and people can stay in their homes for a long period of time. What the most interesting thing, and think about this, so our assisted living sometimes can cost $5,000 to $6,000 a month. And people won't put small renovations in their homes. That would be far less than that in a year, right? And they could stay in their home. So, really think about it. I think people are deterred by a large sum of renovation money, when if you put that in, you could stay in your home. Or I remember Anthony Traxler, who was he did the gerontology program at SIUE, and he goes, you know what? Why don't people just pay for somebody to mow their lawn instead of moving into a very expensive assisted living? Not that that's not bad. I mean, there's great great places. We have great examples here in the region, but lots of great things that you can think about before having to move out of your home.
Yes, there's no question. And if you start to add up the numbers, and we have people that are in their 90s now, still living in their homes, and not that they haven't been without some issues, but they are able to, and and if they're still, their spouse is still with them, or they're alone, they've been able to stay in their homes for a longer period of time than they would have if they had a home that didn't have all the accommodations. And there's a financial component to that that only each individual can determine. But if it's $60,000 to $80,000 a year to be in an assisted living, and I mean, I don't know how the rest of you feel, but I would rather live in my home if I could. So versus.
So with an area agency on aging, we have caregiver specialists like Robin who can help people look at what their needs are, and we have information and assistance folks who can help you access services to bring them into your home at all different cost levels. So that's what an area agency does, and we're a very strong area agency on aging. And I wanted to show you a video because we're really under threat right now with the Older Americans Act. It's been dismantled. The Centers for and we're the backbone, and it's really threatening all the services that the area agency provides. And I have a 2-minute, I promise, it's just a 2-minute video. We're having a day of action next Wednesday here at 2 o'clock, and we have 6 others happening throughout the region. We need to save our services for older adults. And then, after this video, you need to go to look at adaptive equipment at Corners. So many cool things they have. So thank you for listening to this. I really appreciate it. You guys too.
Across the state, thousands of older adults rely on essential services funded by the Older Americans Act. These programs provide more than just meals, transportation, or home care. They provide dignity, independence, and security. For many, these services are the difference between aging in their own homes or facing institutional care. They are the difference between isolation and community, between struggling alone and knowing someone is there to help. But now, these vital programs face uncertainty. Without continued and increased funding, older adults across Illinois could lose the support they depend on. We have received dozens of video testimonies from adults all across the state. From north to south, these programs are vital for the lives of many.
I just want to say that I'm thankful that we have a senior citizen center in White County.
I have been getting lunches from the Williamson County Program on Aging for like 5.5, maybe almost 6 years.
And sometimes you don't eat. So I think these Meals on Wheels are the best thing.
Testimonies like these exist in the thousands across the state. They need services more than you can imagine, and with your support, we can make sure that they continue to thrive as they age. Let's go to Springfield, where Thomas depends on home-delivered meals to maintain his independence.
Without that service, without those meals, I would get in trouble. There are a lot of people receiving these services, and without these services, it would be hard for everybody that's involved to thrive and be able to make it on their own.
Without continued funding, these vital programs could disappear, leaving thousands of older adults vulnerable. Legislators, we need your support. Keep funding these essential services because every senior deserves to live with dignity and independence.
So there's a flyer on the table over there about the Day of Action, so I encourage you to participate. There's information as you leave the vestibule about the services even broader than the Older Americans Act. We're talking about, it's just a whole long list of things that are going to disappear. So our network as we know it is going to change if we don't let our voices be heard. And there's so much noise right now in Washington that they're not hearing about what older adults need. So please call your legislators. Now I guess it's in our senators' hands because it passed the House. So, and the budget that passed the House was devastating. So come next week. We encourage you, and thank you so much for my public service announcement. And thank you once again, Mike, and you're on. So go ahead and check, tell them what you have, and go take a look close up.
Yeah. May I say something?
Sure.
My husband and I deliver Meals on Wheels. That, sometimes I can sit here and cry. That is the most rewarding thing I have ever done. And if I think of these people that we see and we deliver, if they're not going to get that food, I don't know what they're going to do. My husband walked away a couple weeks ago in tears. There was a gentleman that we gave food to. He said a good wind would have knocked him over. He was so thin and crippled. If he didn't have that food from Meals on Wheels, what would he have done? So I just want to say that.
Say it to your senators.
Oh, we have.
and say it every day and write them letters because they have to open that darn mail. They can delete your email and they cannot answer the phone, but they have to open the mail. And there's postcards over there. And if you want to write how important it is, there's a postcard over there, and we'll mail those for you. So thank you so much. Okay.
My name is Christina. I am a co-founder of Adaptive Equipment and Caregiving Corner. I've kind of got, wherever we go, we always look like the flea market at any event we attend. I am a rehabilitation therapist. My business partner is a physical therapist. I'm a speech therapist. We were working in home health at the time when we started our business. We started, you get the same questions over and over again when you walk into somebody's house, into your patient's house, and so we thought, let's make some videos about it and put that on a YouTube channel. That way, if you had questions, you could watch the video again. We started getting traction, and so now we have a subscription for family caregivers to show them the physical part of how to care for your loved one, keep yourself safe during caregiving, as well as keeping your loved one safe in the home and aging in place as long as possible. So our YouTube channel also now includes, we get companies that send us products. And so what we do is we make a video to show you how to use the product safely. You can get any of these products online, but it doesn't mean you know how to use it safely. So that's where we come in. We try to raise people's awareness, first of all, of the products out there, and that here's how you would use it and keep yourself safe during daily care. So then we have all these products left over, right? Because the company sends it to us. What do we do with it? We literally have Adaptive Equipment Corner in our garage. So then we go to events like this and we bring some stuff that we think you guys might find interesting. And that way you can engage with the product. And then we can give you a link to where you can buy it or a resource that might have it where you can borrow it and then give it back, a lending closet. And so I would invite you just to come up here, ask questions that you may have. Get your hands on there. All this stuff is just demonstration, so I don't want it walking off, okay? It happens. But yeah, please let me know if you have questions about it. If you have questions about your situation, I'd be happy to help. Thank you.